Sing unto Yahweh, let all the earth call. Bless his name and show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory amongst the...
Shalom, shalom, Israel. It's Brother Ari. And today I want to talk about one of the European or Ashkenazi groups that I'm in that I kind of be chopping it up with and going back and forth with and etc. Just based like on doctrine and different things. And there's a lot of Jews for Jesus in here. And a lot of people who know the language and grammar. Some that don't, and some that just go and look up the Bible Hub and all that kind of stuff, but don't actually know what the grammar and things. So we had a little discussion. This guy here, he says that Yaquez Nabeth, okay. So he says Yaquez Nabeth has not answered any of his questions regarding Isaiah 52 and 53. And so here he's challenging any Jewish person, even though I'm not Jewish. He says if you're in the group, respond to these two questions that obviously he cannot answer. Is Isaiah 52 referring to a future event where this is something that has already happened? This is my first question. My second question is this. Is Isaiah 52 leading into Isaiah 53 chapter referring to all the mistreatment that Israel had to suffer over the centuries leading up to the days of the Messiah? These are the two questions that I have added them for several reasons, because this will open up who is speaking in the 52nd chapter. I challenge you, if you cannot answer it, you want to come with crazy claims, please do not answer or respond. I'm waiting on Jewish responses only. Let's see if you can handle the challenge. Well, I'm not Jewish, but I decided to take up his challenge. And then I respond, I said, I behold the belief Isaiah 53 is a prophecy of Jeremiah, the weeping prophet. Here are all the verses where Jeremiah, that he fulfilled, that Isaiah 53 states that this person would do per the law of Deuteronomy 19 and 15. And so these are all the verses. I line them up and everything. Isaiah 53 and 1 equals Jeremiah 6 and 10 and Jeremiah 20, 7 through 8. Isaiah 53 and 2, Jeremiah 1 and 1 through 5 and 20 and 8, etc., as you can see. And so I go down here and I put right here, I say, in Isaiah 53, Jeremiah repeatedly speaks of being despised, mocked, rejected. Jeremiah 27, Jeremiah 15 and 17, Jeremiah 11 and 19. Saval Nasa, Jeremiah carries the burden of Judah's sins. Even though he is incorrect, Jeremiah 15 and 17, Jeremiah 13 and 17, Jeremiah is called the weeping prophet because the nation sins exactly like Isaiah's servant, right? And these are all the verses particularly where it shows the same imagery, and that's going to be in the next part 2 of the Jeremiah Isaiah 53 series, right? And so I'll go into this, and I said Jeremiah is treated as a criminal even though he is innocent and beaten. We're going to give those verses. He's thrown into the pit to die, those verses. Jeremiah suffered physical and emotional wounds, those verses right here, Nigzar, in Isaiah 58, and we'll go over that in the grammar, like I said, part 2, and etc. So he responds, Jeremiah's death did not match the death of Isaiah 53, nor does King Cyrus, nor Isaiah, etc. None of their deaths matched out Isaiah 53, and he wasn't taken away in his death. He did not bring healing to the nations, and they did not offer atonement for their sins. And all this stuff is projection, because Isaiah 53 has a lot of idioms and a lot of imagery. Right, so it's a lot of metaphors, and a lot of people take these things seriously, literally. And he says, Jeremiah 17:8, let my prosecutors be put to shame, but do not let me be put to shame. Let them be terrified, but do not let me be terrified. Bring upon them the day of disaster, destroy them with double destruction. So he's saying this statement from Jeremiah proves that he is not the servant of Isaiah 53 because he did not understand the mission unto which he was called for. It was in the Lord's will to crush him, Isaiah 53. And you can read the rest of the text and you can see clearly how this is not aligned with Jeremiah, which is false. And I'm going to go and show this. Then he go later on. And I go again. He says even more. Even if Jeremiah is referring to Israel in the pastors that I gave you, still have to answer, how did his death atone for the nation's sins? And it never says that. It never necessarily says that. It never, necessarily just says that, man. It says the person's gonna be carrying those sorrows, and he was gonna be carrying those griefs. Okay, and it has, so nothing about, but whatever. So this can't be referring to Jeremiah. For example, King Cyrus, we know it's not talking about him. First of all, he's not an Israelite. Number two, never said it was Cyrus. Number two, his death does not match that of Isaiah 53. And see how he keeps on bringing up Cyrus and this and that, because he has seen and had an argument about a prepositional argument about this. And I'm not talking about Cyrus. I'm not calling about anybody. I'm saying Jeremiah. And I gave him all these verses, right? All these verses. And this was a week ago. Cyrus died in the middle of a battle, not in prison, and from prison cut off from the land of the living. So the same thing here applies for Isaiah. That never happened, and his death did not bring atonement, because God then later destroyed Babylon for the destruction of those slain. But that whole taking cut off of the land of the living is an idiom, a metaphor. So basically, it was saying that he was put down into a pit. He wasn't walking amongst the society, So, but whatever. Babylon for the destruction of those who slain. You can check Isaiah. I believe Isaiah 50:1. I could be wrong, but I think it's Isaiah chapter 50, or excuse me, not chapter 50, but Jeremiah. I think chapter 50. Or you can go just check out his page. And I told him, I said it was an idiom. You do know what an idiom is, right? Again, verse 8, Doro, only means current or past generations. You are interpolating a lot, sir. Because the person in Isaiah 53 is only declaring for his current generation that he is living in, or the generation before him, right? Because what were they doing? They were all sinning and doing all kinds of wickedness and stuff and idolatry, all right? And so that's why he sent Jeremiah to try to turn them around. But he told Jeremiah, I think it's in chapter 19, I think it was, or one of those two, that he was gonna make the people a wall of fire, and they was gonna resist him. But don't be afraid of him, because I am with you. That's why it pleased the Lord to chastise Jeremiah, the 53 and servant, the servant of Isaiah 53. And I told him, I said, you can't refer to whom you want to. Son, no matter what you get shown, you will not accept it. Not from the grammar, not from the text, because you have a preposition that it is Christ. So carry on. So he keeps talking about, according to your traditional Jewish rabbis that believe this text is referring to all the mistreatment that Israel had to suffer leading up into the days of the Messiah. If you're going to say this is referring to the past event, you must prove to me what event. And who do you think this is referring to? Is this referring to Babylon or the Assyrian exile? Again, if you're going to put this in the past, it does not fit the Babylonian exile or the Assyrian exile, which is lie. It is the Babylonian exile. So in other words, your rabbis believe that this mistreatment will continue. It is something that will happen all the way throughout the centuries leading up to the Messiah. So Isaiah 52 is referring to the nation's response that would realize that all that went wrong in the Messianic kingdom, and that they were the ones that were mistreating Israel. We were wrong if this was something that already happened. Why is your rabbis believing that this is a response? Your real answer lies in Isaiah 52. When do you think Isaiah 52 happened? When will it happen? Now, to my understanding, Isaiah 52 would not happen in the future, because in the future, all nations would know that Israel said that you can see Ezekiel for that. And this is the arrogance of all that type of stuff. He just knows for a fact. But see, I'm going to bust his bubble, and you're going to see how his responses get short, and then he just cuts it off. In other words, I go back to my original argument. If all nations knew that Israel sinned, then Israel was cut off for the transgressions of their own people, which will call into question who is speaking in Isaiah 52. When did these kings and nations ever bow down, and why is Isaiah 53 being applied to the 52nd chapter? Because it starts in the 52nd chapter, and the 52 chapter is the Most High speaking in some verses, and then it's Isaiah, and then it's the Most High speaking in some verses, and he doesn't understand that, and I break that down to him. You have a lot to answer for, and this is not an easy answer that you can just slap and give somebody. This is something that's very, very non-convincing to me. Your argument is not convincing me. So I would copy and paste that. If you're going to say the past event, you must prove what exile is referring to. Me, Babylonian exile. Again, it's not my rabbis. I don't follow Talmud, even though I read it sometimes, only to denote and know what others know and what their arguments are going to be. Whenever I do do things like this with the European Jews. Okay, that's why I read some of it sometimes here and there, for the arguments, the little debates. So then I put in here, as far as your Isaiah 52 comment, Isaiah 52, the chapter talks about one, Jerusalem being defiled, verse 1. Number 2, God's people being taken away for nothing, verses 4 and verses 4. Number 3, the nations blaspheming because Israel is in captivity, which is verse 5. And Jeremiah is precisely the prophet who, 1, announced the Jerusalem's destruction, 2, announced the Babylonian exile, 3, announced that God would later restore Israel, 4, fought against false prophets promising false peace, 5, delivered the yoke of Babylon prophecy, and 6, gave the famous prophecy of the 70 years, which Ezra used in Ezra 1 and 1, in which they showed King, Ezra 1 and 1 tells you by the word of Jeremiah. The word means the prophecy of Jeremiah. Now the rest Jeremiah fulfilled in Isaiah 52, right? So 7, the one who brings good news, saying your God reigns. Jeremiah proclaimed God's 1. He proclaimed 2. He proclaimed God's judgment, God's sovereignty, and the Most High's eventual restoration. 5, and when Cyrus freed the Jews, people literally read Jeremiah's prophecy to explain the event. Again, Ezra 1 and 1, like I was saying. Jeremiah is the Isaiah 52 messenger announcing the fall, the exile, and the promise of return. So then I copied and pasted and said, you have a lot to answer for. This is not an easy answer. You're really not convincing me. I say, my response was, I really don't care about convincing anyone. Truth is the truth over beliefs. Now you say it wasn't easy, but to me it wasn't hard. Shalom. And then I left him with a few more things because he had responded back days later. I came back, that was 5 days ago, and then 4 days ago, because I had seen he had responded to this. He says, you understand that the person, this was his response. Notice it wasn't all this where it can't be this and that, because I done broke it down now to him and he has no rebuttal. So he says, you understand that the person speaking in Isaiah 53 is Isaiah, right? He's looking into the far future. I hope you understand that. Me, I respond, he's looking 100 years into the future, which Jeremiah lived 100 years after Isaiah. And so I told him every prophecy, the speaker is Elohim's words and not the prophets. But then I responded to in the Isaiah 52 verses 1 through 2, the Most High commands Zion to wake up and put on strength and holiness. Verses 3 through 6, the Most High speaks about the release from captivity and the end of the Most High's people being taken for nothing. Verse 7 through 10, a messenger proclaims good news of peace, salvation, and the reign of God. So a messenger proclaims, but God speaks in these verses. Verses 7 through 10 is just a messenger proclaiming good news of peace. Verses 11 through 15, the Most High speaks again, calling his people to depart from captivity and describing the coming servant who will bring salvation. Does not change anything that I stated. And that was Jeremiah. Jeremiah came back and was bringing salvation to those that would listen to him, because his words came straight out of the Most High, came straight from the Most High. And the Most High was telling the people, if you want to live, which is salvation, you want to be saved, go turn yourself over to the Babylonians. Don't fight them. Don't do any of that type of stuff. Because if you fight them, you're not going to be saved and you're going to die. Okay? So he told them, don't fight them and just go with the Babylon. Don't resist them. And you shall be saved. With salvation in the Most High will bring you back into this land. But these people don't understand it, just like my Hebrew Israelite brethren don't really understand. So yeah. So this was in the group. Rabbinical Judaism versus the Bible. So this is mostly, it's not, you don't get no racist stuff really like that, but you do get deep discussions. And if you have to be knowledgeable in some of this grammar and stuff like that when you're going against them, because like I said, the next video I'm going to show you another guy that I went up against with the grammar, and he's black, and he's just arrogant and prideful. But I'm going to show you over Psalms 110 and over Isaiah 53 too as well, which is this right here. But it's mostly Psalms 110. And after I posted my last little response, He shut up, but he was following me from comment to comment because I was kicking his butt so bad. You know. But until the next video, shalom, shalom. Lehitoro.
Great job. Sing unto Yahweh a new song. Sing unto Yahweh, let all the earth call. Bless his name and show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory amongst the heathens and wonder amongst the people. Every morning and evening I give him praise. The false gods are vain by the Most High. The skies was made, nothing new under the sun. Yeah, these times don't change. I guide my steps, directed, devise my ways. Honor and majesty, my Yah retain. Beauty is in the sanctuary amongst the saints. Give Yah glory and strength. Search far and wide across the seven seas for a sign but never seen a God alive like Yah, my Elohim.